Welcome back, coaches. This is the Football Coaching Podcast. I am Daniel Chamberlain, co-host, here with Joe Daniel. As always,
what's up, Coach?
Coach, it's another glorious week, man.
Glorious.
Yeah, I haven't stopped smiling in about 12 days, so 14, nice. I don't know, since I got offered a job. It's been fantastic. Our employees at my wife's work said, "You look like a different human." Maybe I had a whole cloud on top of me. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, life is good. As I'm sure you understand. You were a new head coach at one point.
I was. Very exciting time. Everything is working.
Yeah.
And everybody's excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. It'll be great.
I'm just waiting for the Mike Tyson moment. Everybody has a plan.
It's going to come. It's going to come.
We got our districts today, and I have 4 Goliaths in a row to start my district play. So I get some non-district to we'll see. We'll see how those games go, right? Like every game's important, and then we play Murderers Row.
Yeah.
It might be the toughest district I've ever been a part of. So it's going to be fun. Anyway, we're still pumped. We're excited. Lots of excitement. Let's get through our Power Minute real quick. Tonight, we were talking about steal. Don't create. If you've read the title, you know that we're talking about don't reinvent the wheel, right? Smart football coaches are going to go out and steal things and make them their own. So starting with proven systems, find the right system for your football team. There's one out there, guys. Everything on earth right now has been created, I feel like. There is wing tee, shotgun wing tee. There's shotgun power stuff. Like it don't matter which one to run. It's out there, right? And it'll fit.
You weren't around for the A10, so there's always somebody trying to circumvent the rules.
There you go.
But if you do something like the A10, which was the last invention, I'd say. And it wasn't an invention; it was a loophole.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, they basically lined up in a punt formation, which allows you to put players ineligible numbers, whatever.
Right.
Put them on and off the ball, and so they would just move all over the place. And you guys could be eligible, ineligible, if the quarterback lined up at 7 yards.
Yeah.
And they changed the rule to kill it.
To get rid of that.
Just a few years in. It lasts for a couple of years. I remember
I can see that because I've read through the rule book a couple times with Mike D, the referee, and I'm like, I can weaponize this. So I can only imagine making an entire offense out of
of a loophole, essentially. So it was creative. I mean, it wasn't they weren't doing anything wrong. They were trying to solve a problem, and
but
the loophole got closed.
Somebody
can come up with something, though.
Right. Last part we're going to talk about tonight, evolving your system, becoming your own, which is one of my key points of talking is that. Last week, we talked about how to call offensive plays on game day, so getting to the right play call. Next week, we're going to talk about using, excuse me, it has been pollen season in Oklahoma for like a week now. Using the containers principle to coach simple. So tune back in next week if you're looking for like how to simplify as you guys are getting into spring ball and all the other things, and maybe you just have too thick of a playbook this year. That one will be good for you. Quick thing here before we get going. Coaching is a grind, and nobody figures it out all alone. So if you've got a coach in your circle who's in the same grind that you are, send them this episode or any of the episodes. Go back, find something you might like. Things that we've talked about, grind less, or things we're talking about, do more. There's lots of varying things. Joe, let's pay the bills, and we'll jump into it here, man.
Yeah, go check out the defensive. If you're trying to put together your system, if you're thinking about creating, if you're thinking about inventing on the defensive side of the ball, we have a guide that is called the Guide to Building Your Ultimate Defensive Coaching System. And of course, a big part of that guide is going to be talking about some of the things we're talking about now, which is you don't want to just go create and, throw things together. Putting that system together, still having your stamp on it, though. That is a free download guide that we have at joedanielfootball.com/system. Or right now, you can just get on the homepage at joedanielfootball.com. I don't know if it'll be there depending on when you listen, but if you listen in the next 7 days after this comes out, it'll be right there on the homepage at joedanielfootball.com or available at joedanielfootball.com/system. Get that free download.
Love it. I'm going to tell you about Adaptable Physical Therapy because I forgot to write anything else. So if you're in the Northeast Oklahoma, Northwest Arkansas, Southwest Missouri, or Southeast Kansas, or anywhere else, let Adaptable Physical Therapy help you. If you are in our area, my wife is probably top 5 in the nation in concussion protocol, getting kids back after concussions or any other injuries. She has found kids that were lying because they were scared to play. Their injuries tended to move a lot for the same air quote injuries. She has found injuries that other people missed and prevented people from having long-term issues. Yep, she is the premier helping your people get better. She's even this year, it's something she has specialized in that was pretty neat. We have a son who, so growing up, I was very non-athletic. I think unathletic is the word. I'm very fast. I have some twitchiness to me, but the coordination not ever been there. And my oldest is unfortunately going to be kind of the same way. And she found out there is actually a medical journal out there written about people with low, I'm going to forget the word for it. Basically, when your back doesn't, it can't, it's not free to move. So we see people who are tight, right? We talk about tight athletes, like, oh, their hips are just tight. We need to unlock their hips. A lot of times it starts in their spine and it's just movement, and you get movement and it breaks all that stuff free. And then they get that athletic trait back. So she's been putting him through that and he's doing a lot better. So if you know someone like me who is unathletic, you may just need to get them to a good PT like Dr. Smith at Chamberlain at Adaptable Physical Therapy. All right, man, let's jump into it here. So tonight we are talking about not necessarily recreating the wheel, right? If you're looking for a new offensive scheme, you're looking for a new defensive scheme, there are a lot of systems out there that are ready that probably contain everything you're looking to do. Speaking of the Joe Daniel football systems, premium coaching systems, I think about defense a lot and how I don't even see numbers in it. Like, I don't care what your numbers are, right? I'm just looking for what front you're trying to create. And so it doesn't matter what you want to build. If you want to be a 3-3 stack, a 4-3, 4-2-5, 3-4, the JDFB defensive system is for you because that system contains all the things and it's pre-built. And just like everyone else, you're going to make it your own later on anyway. So you might as well start with something that the foundation isn't cracked. Before you take off talking about this, Joe, and last week, literally the Tuesday we were recording, and I saw this was this week's episode, I'd read a tweet that a coach was essentially saying, and if this is one of our listeners, we just simply disagree with you, but they were basically saying, start from scratch, build it yourself, spend 10 games learning what your system does and doesn't have. And we both looked at each other, we said it off the air, and like, yes, please do waste an entire senior classes last year while you try to figure out football and all the things that are wrong with your system. Like, kids get 4 years, right? They don't get any more than that in high school. And then where you go on one of these weird creationist things and you're going to waste somebody's career, a piece of it, especially if it's at any kind of a size, a caliber of school where it's like freshmen don't get to start, sophomores are JV, juniors a lot of time are just like, it may be their only year in varsity. So
yeah,
very against that. Find something that's already working, copy, paste, make it your own. Anyway, start with a proven system. That's where we're at right now, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where it all starts. Is there's a pushback thing, and then, you know, Kenny talks about it too, and you've talked, you obviously are well aware of it. There's a pushback against us,
Right.
against people that put this stuff out there, and you know, are obviously getting very, very rich off of it. You can tell because I got a new plant, and I drive a 2018 Chevy Equinox. So, you know, we've managed to get very wealthy off of this pursuit, and hardly work. I mean, literally hardly ever put any work in. So, you know, all we do is sit around and draw up plays, and so there's pushback. We're all charlatans. Doesn't matter how many people have success with it. It doesn't matter how much proof that there is. It doesn't matter how many hours and hours and hours we save you. Your time is worthless. You should spend 1,000 hours gathering all of this information from 10,000 different places. You should spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars traveling around the world, meeting people, meeting coaches. You should expect coaches to just tell you everything and do it with, all of their free time, because we all have boatloads of free time. We're full-time jobs, full-time teachers. Then we coach 40 hours a week in the off season and 100 hours a week in season. And so we all have boatloads of free time. We should be giving it away. That's all tongue in cheek. I hope that's obvious.
Damn internet football people.
The thing about this is, number one, yes, if you are a youth coach, so let's start with youth football coaches. Let's not even go, because yes, as a high school varsity football coach, my presumption is that whoever wrote that tweet was not talking about high school varsity defensive coordinator, head coach inventing a system, because generally you don't. Now, some do. You did. Others do. You had direction from your head coach, though, right? But generally, we're talking about somebody who has learned some system on their way up to that, but not always. But a lot of times we're talking about the dad who just found out you're in charge, and they're like, I'm going to make it. Or very young coaches often want to create the thing that is going to change the game. But let's talk from a youth standpoint. The three things that a youth football coach needs to do. Number one, teach them the skills, techniques needed to play the game, and play the game well, and play the game safely. That's job number one. These aren't in any order, by the way. We're just going to say that's one. Two is have fun. They need to enjoy playing football, because who gives a crap if they play 1 year of 10-year-old football? Who cares if your 10-year-old plays 1 year? Football is one of the greatest sports, if not the greatest sport, depending on who you ask. But just being involved in sports and being involved in something in general is the best thing for a kid. And it's pretty important that they come back, not that they play 1 year. And number three, you need to win, because guess what? It sucks to lose. And so if you do number one well, and I always tell our youth coaches, if you only do number two, if all they do is have fun, you're a babysitter. They don't learn how to play football. They don't learn to play football well and safely and all those things. They don't win. You're a babysitter. You're a glorified babysitter. You're not even glorified, really, because you're not getting paid. So you're just a babysitter. None of us are doing this to be a babysitter. So we've got to put the time in to learn how to coach the skills and techniques, put together a system so that we win football games, and then find a way to do it, make it fun. And you have a full-time job that pays the bills. And if you're a youth football coach, generally you have at least one kid who's currently playing at least one sport, but probably more. And so you're driving all over the place and doing all of those things that dads do, or moms. And in there, you have a full-time job. Now you're a volunteer coach doing it for free. And you have a responsibility to not just your kid, but to the entire team of kids, the entire group of kids, to create this atmosphere where they learn football, they have fun, they win games, and they come back to play again next year, because that's what the best thing is for them and the best thing for the sport. It may not be the best thing for all of them to play football, but some percentage of them, relatively high, if the game is going to succeed and if they're going to succeed, we would like for them to do that. And you have very little time, and someone tells you that the solution is to go invent, create. You don't have time. You very simply don't have time. We're going to talk in next week's episode about the containers principle. And that's a lot of what the containers principle is about, is time. It's about how to be a better football coach in less time. And this is the number one thing, is I don't care if you buy something from me, or anybody else. I don't care how you get it. If you think that you are going to master football in the next few months and invent a system and do it so well that the future playing career of a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 14-year-old, or a senior who is never going to play this game again, that you are going to do it so well that you are going to shock the world with your brilliance, it's not happening. You're going to waste their time. You're going to damage their career. You're going to screw it up. You're going to. I'm sorry. You're going to. If you don't believe that, you're just too freaking arrogant to be listening to this podcast. I'm sorry. Some people don't like that, and that's okay. It's just not for you. So, all that said, all you have to do is start with something proven. Start offense, defense, special teams. Start with something proven. Not mine, not anybody else. It doesn't matter. Just start with something that is proven, because it's not about you and your ego. It's not about how smart you are. It's not about whether it's been invented before or whether you can invent something, and you can't. There's, like I said, everything is built off of something. Even the A10, which was absolutely ridiculous, okay, was a brilliant idea on how to find a loophole in the system. But it was just fake punts. It was just lots of different fake punts put together. Like, I mean, it was absolutely, but it was just a bunch of fake punts and stuff. So more than that, but very little has been invented. RPOs were not an invention. The option wasn't invented. All of these things have been done. Then they got popular and they got spread. Wasn't an invention. These things had been done for hundreds of years. You could have, not hundreds, but a while. You could have found there were people running full field, empty formation offenses in the 50s. Okay, it existed. You find that person, you find their proven system, you find the one that speaks to you, you find the one that you go, you know what, this makes sense to me. This is right. This feels right. And then you dive into it, and it has to be, here's the other thing, it really needs to be something where the information is being provided in an easy to digest way, because once again, we are all time constrained. And so that's where something like what I do, something like what all the other people who do what I do, and coaches who have put these things together, whether it's videos, whether it's, you can go to CoachTube, you can go to there's Championship Productions, there's I don't know why I can't think of it right now. The one that's about, no, Alex. Anyway, Glazier's there too, Glazier Drive. I mean, there's tons and tons of stuff. It's out there. I don't care where you go. I just named off a bunch of people you could go to. You can go to Kenny for your stuff. You can go to, whoever. Go to Rick Stewart, and go to, all these. There's lots of people with stuff out there. But start with something that's already been done, that's proven, that speaks to you. And as we go through this episode, we'll talk about, it's not always going to, you're not a robot. When years ago, when this stuff wasn't available, and by the way, I cannot tell you how many times me and my best friends in coaching talk about what was my first 2 years as a defensive coordinator. Unfortunately, they were not coordinators on that team, so they just get to laugh about it, and I get to just be like, that was my fault. But they were coaching the offensive side and things. Actually, one of them might have been the offensive coordinator. I don't even remember. No. So the number of times that we talk about what was my first defensive coordinator job, and by the way, I did steal. I just stole from the wrong places and didn't get it. It wasn't easy enough to get the information. I couldn't ask questions to the Georgia Military College staff. I couldn't ask questions to 1992 Tommy Tuberville. Okay, in 2008. He's a politician by then, I guess. Probably. I don't know what he's doing. I know I couldn't
have written him a letter.
I could have, but I couldn't get on a Zoom call with him.
Right.
Directly. But we look at that. We look at that so many times. And I went to everything. I mean, I went to Glazier's. Guys, I drove in 1 year, I drove to Atlanta. They didn't have Glazier Clinic in Northern Virginia yet. I drove to Atlanta. I went to every single session. I filled up an entire notebook. I went to Charlotte. I filled up an entire notebook. I never missed a session. I talked to people. I went to visit people afterwards. I went to Cleveland twice. Never missed a session. I learned everything I could. Thousands and thousands of dollars that I probably didn't have. Hours and hours of my life because I was single, and that was going to make sure that it stayed that way. And I learned a lot. But I look back at 2007 and 2008, and I joke with my friends all the time. That was a really good football team. And we went 5-5, 4-6. And we look back at it all the time. I know these kids. These kids are around. They're around the area that I've been. I've run into them. I've talked to them. They're great. They were great kids. They're great adults now. I'm glad that they were a part of football. I'm glad we didn't run them out of football completely. But we should have been so much better. We just had a bunch of young guys on staff, and we had a head coach who wanted us to grow and develop and let us have the reins somewhat. And it was great for us. But we didn't know enough. We didn't know what we know now. And and we tried. We didn't try to invent too much. We went too complicated. I didn't know Coach Simple yet. We went way, way, way too complicated. That's where I can say that we truly missed out.
Yeah. Yeah. So that you kind of, that's kind of where I want to talk about was as you're looking for these proven systems to start with. Number one, you don't even have to go buy someone's system. I want you to go buy Joe's stuff because Joe's stuff is what started me on this path and made me who I am. At 100%, it's the best foundation you can start with, bar none. But there's a lot of guys doing it. Friends of ours that are doing it. Okay. Sure. There's lots of them to go. I'm not even sure that you have to purchase a system, but it comes down to information availability. Like you said, Joe, my very first head coach was a college quarterback and learned the offense because he had to know it to play a couple of years of college football. So he had a different starting point than me. I had no experience. I didn't even know what defense I was in as a high school player. I was a sick'em or fall back in the flats guy. Turns out
I had to reverse engineer what defense I played in high school years later.
Yeah, and he's told me, hey, yeah, we were 4-2-5, and I'm like, okay, I sure. But my point is, we all can start at different spots in this, starting with a proven system. My first head coach, Dylan Terry's been on the podcast before. Dylan started with knowledge of a system and how it operates and how it's successful, and he created names for formations that fit his mojo. He fit names for run plays and pat. He didn't just copy and paste the college one. He said, I'm going to make this for high school kids. Okay. That's a version of that. I could go back and get my Beggs Demons 2001 wishbone triple option offense playbook and find enough information out there that I could get a system, but I don't have to go out and create formations and where should this guy align and what's the read. No, it's all in the playbook right now. I need to know more. There's more I need to know.
Most playbooks don't have enough information.
Playbooks, right, exactly. So an old playbook is not a system, but it can be the catalyst to getting you there if you found one. Like you said, the old Georgia Military Academy defensive playbook, you could find it and then go find the guys that ran it. Probably not now, but you maybe could.
I spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on the DVDs and occasional VHSs that were on clearance instead of that. But
there you go.
But yeah,
but we all have different starting points. So I'm not saying that if you have knowledge, utilize it, right? Use it as your system. But what we're trying to say is you don't have to go out and recreate football. You don't have to go read the rule book and be like, all right, these 11 guys got to be on the field somewhere. Now, how are we going to there's so much out there already that can get you a springboard to wherever the heck you want to be. So don't think that we're saying you have no creativity, creative, and we're going to talk about that later, but you get a lot of creative power in this. Second part, we're going to start right here, Joe, and that's just talking about how whatever you pick, it has to fit your football team, right? And this is where I have struggled with the coaches of the guys who've been doing it for 30 years. Some of them, not even all. Bill Blankenship was the best guy I could have ever worked for. He taught me so much crap in outside the X's and O's while his coordinators were feeding me X's and O's stuff. But there's some I've worked for that are still running one offense or one defense that's worked because their daddy ran it, because his daddy ran it, and it may or may not fit what they do now, but it's the only one they know. Okay, and so if that angers you, I don't care. Honestly, like, there's not one way to do football. We're not going to gatekeep football either. I'm not doing that now. Do it your way, whatever seems to be working for you. But the system better be what's right for the kids that you have on this year's team. Not last year's team, not 10 years ago, not back in 82. Coach put me in, we win state championship. It's got to be this year's team. And so, hence the reason we keep saying system and not playbook and not scheme. It's got to be a system. Anyway, I'll let you expound on that, Joe. Just the system's got to be right for your football team.
And I think that's the key here in my mind is a good system never is not right for your players, because a good, complete system can be run by anyone and adapted to them. And so when people hear 4-2-5 or they hear 4-4 cover 3, let's say old school 4-4 cover 3. And they go, well, I don't have this many linebackers, I don't have this many linemen, da, 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 da. Well, if the 4-4 cover 3 that you are looking at is limited to 4 defensive linemen, by God, or you can't run it. 4 linebackers, by God, or you can't run it. They all need to be 6 foot, 200, cover 3, nothing else. If that's the system, it's a piss poor system and it won't work for very long. It's atrocious. It's absolutely awful. It doesn't matter what you call it, 4-4 cover 3. But if that was what you had to have to run that defense, then probably you're misunderstanding it. But that system's garbage. If the system is something that, our 4-2-5 system, which you can call a 4-4, and I don't care. It's something that every position we know how to adjust, whether we have 3 linemen, 2 linemen, 1 lineman, no lineman, 5 linebackers, 20 linebackers. We know how to adjust that defense, multiple fronts, multiple looks, multiple whatever, but not even multiple front. We can I could stay in our base 4-2-5 cover 3, cover 1, and do it with, depending on the level, if we need cover 1, and do it with any kids that you give me. And it's still going to be a good defense, because the system, we know how to use the system. We know how to adapt the system. Offensively, our pistol power offense system. We can line up in a power I. We can line up in an unbalanced single wing. The base is a one back offense, power counter, inside zone, outside zone. We can decide which plays we want to use, which plays we're going to focus on. We can go spread. We can throw the ball. We have a full passing game, a drop back passing game that is one of the best. Okay. Guys are so ridiculous with stuff like, oh, you can't mirrored concepts. You can't throw the ball. Shut up. We just tag it. We do whatever. It's like, this is just the weirdness of things that can't work is just mind blowing. A system can adapt to your players. And so when we talk about find the right system for your team, I think it's really not find the right system for your team. I think it's this. It's find the right system. What that means is find a system that is adaptable year in, year out. This system can be run by anyone, anyway, anyhow. Now, then you pull the pieces of that system that fit what you have right now. And we've talked about, and we'll talk more about the hierarchy of a playbook. The system begets the playbook. Everything that's in the playbook is not the entire system. The system is much bigger than the playbook. As it grows, your first year, the playbook might be the entire system, because that's what you need to learn right now. And then the next year you go, okay, this year's a little bit different. Let's get this and this and this. What's more important than that, and I've found this more and more and more with JDFB coaches, What really matters and can determine success almost more than anything else, you have to believe in it. You have to find the right system that is adaptable year in and year out. This is going to be your system year in and year out. And it has adaptability. It can be adjusted. It can be, done whatever. You have to believe in it, and then you have to get the coaches that are around you on your coaching staff to believe in it too, because one guy sabotaging it can kill the whole thing. We've seen that too. But ultimately, it's you believe in it, because belief is so critical. Belief is everything. And if you don't believe in it, there's absolutely no way that you're going to get your kids to believe. So when the head coach is the hardest, it's just so hard to do. Head coaches, when you hand a defensive coordinator and you say, we're going to run this, and he says, I don't know. And you say, no, we're running this. He's never going to fully buy in. If he's not fully bought into it, it's not going to work, even though you are. You know what I mean? So we got to figure out how we get everybody bought into this. And it doesn't mean that every position, a bigger key is getting everybody on staff to understand that we're all professionals and we understand this thing. If we're all professionals, if I could get everybody on a coaching staff to understand, like, okay, like if we can explain this thing and we can talk through this thing, we can buy into it. We added in Mercer's jet sweep to our system, jet sweep series, wing tee based, a couple of years ago. My head coach wanted it. I fully believe that if I went and I studied it and I watched it and I said, okay, it's not part of what we do, what I've done in the past, but I can make it work, and I can believe in this series, and I can make it, we can teach it. We can adapt it just a little bit to our terminology, and we can do it. And it ended up being a very important series for us. And that's the year we won playoff game for the first time in school history. 60 years. 60, something like that. However many years. No, sorry. I can't remember. Anyway, first time in school history. But he wanted to do it, and I looked at it and bought into it. And it became an important part. I like to think that if I had said there's absolutely no way, that either I would have not been the head coach, the offensive coordinator anymore, or we would have done something different.
Right.
That would have been there. One of two decisions. If the head coach has decided, by God, this is what we're doing, then he better start calling plays. Right. But luckily we worked together long enough to figure that out. So, but the right system is adaptable. And again, we have an adaptable offensive system. I was able to bring that in, tag it with our words and everything, even use the formation for some of the other things that we did to build around it. And so we were able to bring that in. We had done jet sweep before, but honestly, we had never run it that well. It ended up being a good play for us. It's important that the coaches buy in, the coaches believe in it, and that the system can adapt to your players. If this thing where these guys say, oh, what offense do you run, or what defense? I see it all the time with defense. What defense do you run? It depends on our kids. Are you learning a new defense every year? What? That's the dumbest idea. And I'm not talking about fronts. Daniel's mentioned it. It's not about numbers. It's not about 3-4-4, 3-4-2. Okay. It's about identity. Ours is umbrella run fits. Ours is about spilling and all that sort of stuff. I'm not a 4-2-5 guy. I talk about 4-2-5 all the time because it has worked for over 70%, closer to 80% of our JDFB coaches. It has been consistent. It's the consistent winner, especially starting out. And then we have guys that go multi-front. We have guys that go 4-3, but it's the consistent winner for starting out. That's why I'm into it. I'm into it because it's consistent. But I don't care what the front is. What the thing is, what for us, the system, which is based on the run fits, it's based on the ASCA, it's based on all those things, the coverage package, that system works best I shouldn't say works best, is easiest to teach, because the best defense I ever coached was a 3-4. But it's easiest to teach from a 4-2-5. It's easiest to get everybody on the same page. That's the starting point. That's why it fits, because it's the simplest. Right. But I just think that's, we're talking about the right system. It's not like you got to figure out whether you're a 3-3 or a 3-4. Nah, screw all that. It's not about that. It's, do you believe in it, and can it adapt? Because if you run this defense this year, because you won't have very many linemen, so you're going to be a 3-4 this year, but next year 4 300-pound behemoths show up and you're like, well, you got to change the system. Start over. Then one of them transfers, and you're like, we're back to 3. Change the system. One of them gets hurt. What do you do now? You're going to have injuries. You're going to have all sorts of stuff is going to happen. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah.
We'll jump into this last part here. We're talking about evolution, because I've really been waiting for this part. Because yes, you have to start with something that you don't have to. You should.
You should.
You have to. You have to start with something that works. If you
don't want to let your players down, you should start with something.
If
you care about the kids, you should start with something. Yes.
And it should be a system that fits you this year. However, like you just said, things are going to change. Things are always going to change. Football goes through its cyclical evolutions as well, right? It was spread. Now we're getting back in the phone booth. So if you got into football 15 years ago, you may just be like a 2x2, 3x1 air raid guy, because you kind of got in after the wishbones and the wing tees and the flex bone and all that was really dominant.
Yeah.
And ball was going to the air, right? I mean, people were doing that. And now it's climbing back in the phone booth, and it's a fist fight again. If you're a small school ball, you may have never left, but maybe you did to get that advantage. I don't know. But you're going to have to do some evolution. And I think that's where people get worried about running other people's stuff. If I buy the Joe Daniel defense, I'm just going to be running his stuff, and it's so boring. I'm just going to say base and read everything, because we're going to be in cover 3. And then I'm going to take cover 1 every once in a while for an off coverage. And now listen, if you just really hate winning, if winning is boring, I feel you. But we know a couple guys that are coming to Boston with us, by the way. If you don't know, we're going to Boston. In fact, I think by the time this comes out, it's over. But
yeah, this comes out on the 12th.
Okay, so it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. I think I may have said that last week when we recorded.
For real tomorrow.
For real tomorrow.
The day that this comes out. 13th and 14th of March.
But those guys just did exactly that. They just ran the base. Anyway, you can take any of these systems, any offensive, any defensive, whatever, and you can make it your own. You can make it whatever itch you need to scratch, whatever thing you find at a Glazier clinic or a Nike clinic, Coach of the Year clinic. You go to, maybe you're a Joe Daniel disciple and you go to a Gun T clinic and you're like, ooh, I want to run buck. You can do that. You can add it in. You can add in packages. You can transform it and run 90% buck, even though that's not really in the Joe Daniel football system. It's just a concept. It's just power different.
Yeah.
Or GT counter different. It's the same stuff. So you can evolve with the kids that you get, right? And you may have to, we talk about it often. You need to de-evolve sometimes. Sometimes you got to go back down because you get a salty little sophomore quarterback who can really spin it. You go from 12P power counter all the time to, wait a minute, we can go out and Hal Mummy's Y cross looks pretty good. We can run mesh. We can run 6. And then he graduates. And he takes all that knowledge with him. He takes all that ability with him. And the next guy up isn't quite as good. And you may have to de-evolve back to a more base, a more foundational point in your system. But you still may never get back to the Joe Daniel football pistol power offense. You may not ever get back there. But if you don't start with a foundation in concepts and conceptual football, in the basics, the fundamentals of football, you will constantly be changing, tripping over yourself, trying to get back to someone else's version of fundamentals. You'll be buying into the gun tee, but not to add a play as a package or steal an RPO idea. Nope. It'll be, well, how do we align these guys and what type of personnel do we put there and how we're going to call these for. You'll get back to where you're doing everything from scratch. And I think that's very dangerous for one, you're going to waste even more time. And two, once again, it's bad for the kids. Like they're going to be a freshman who's 3 years into this thing that you were doing that was really good. And all of a sudden you're pulling the plug on it. Nope. We're going to another thing. I think a lot of successful programs, something we're doing right now is trying to get all the way into the root of the youth movement, right? The youth teams are going to be running our system, our fundamentals. So from the time the kids get in third grade and they lace them up the first time to the time they graduate as seniors, they're going to be seeing primarily the same stuff. But those guys aren't going to run my offense. They're going to use our terminology and go do it their own, right? They're going to do whatever makes that team successful. And it kind of ties back what you're talking youth at the beginning. Anyway, you're going to have to evolve. You don't even have to. You're going to find that you want to evolve the system to what's new, what's trending, what makes sense to you. I'm not really like a triple option guy. I don't like the right nowness of a number one. I'm not an under center guy, to be honest. It's in our package. It's in our system. But I don't truly want my quarterback holding on to a football, trying to turn around and run backwards and reading another human that quick. It's weird to me. The timing's strange. I'm a modern guy. I want the shotgun, so we have some time. Get those behemoths away from us. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Evolve. Do things your own way. To you, Joe.
The timing is much better on drop back passing if you're running timing route concepts. And you shouldn't turn around and run backwards. But that's not how you drop back. It's fine. You've never done it.
I got a handout outside zone way over there.
Yeah. By the way, the play action off of that is significantly better.
See, I like it. I just don't know. I don't know it.
So the evolution of a system, that's where there's so many things about coaching. It's the things that I think are fun aren't the X's and O's anymore. Because let me tell you guys, you're going to run out of plays. It's like Daniel said, buck sweep is just power. It's just GT counter. It's just GH counter. It's just gap scheme off tackle. Like that's all that it is. It's the same thing with, I don't look at 4-2 and 4-4 for sure. I don't really look at, 4-3 has its own differences. And like if you do a 46 bear, there's differences. If you're a base 3-4, there's differences. But ultimately, it's not about that. It's about spill and force. And where's the spill coming from? Where's the force coming from? Where's the alley coming from? Who's the staying see what I look at when I see defensive football. When I see offensive football, I see gap scheme plays. I see zone scheme plays. I see inside zone and outside zone. And guys talk about this split zone, this wide zone, this tight zone. It's like,
oh my God, the duo inside zone today.
Whatever.
Was raging.
Whatever.
It's the same play, guys. We get it.
It's fine. It's fine. It's the same play. I know. I've always thought it was hilarious because the funniest one, and I'm sure there's guys that do it different, but the funniest one was a guy who just was raging about it. I wasn't on Twitter for this. This was something else. It was whatever I was watching. A guy was just raging about it. This is not inside zone. And he goes to teach it, and it's our inside zone rules. And I was like, I mean, maybe you don't run inside zone that way, and that's okay. But it's like it doesn't matter that much. It really doesn't matter. You're going to run out of plays. Passing concepts. So if you try to just be a football genius and come up with 10,000 different plays, like, by the way, side note, speaking of geniuses, did you read the ESPN article on the Baylor quarterback who was Mike Leach's last quarterback that he coached?
No, I don't ESPN very much. I'm sorry.
I don't either, but I was looking something up. There's an article. I can't remember his name. It's a good name. It's a football club player name. He's quarterback for Baylor this year. He's going in the draft. Supposed to be somewhere between 5th round and free agent. And he was Mike Leach's last quarterback. It is a great article. Great story about that kid. Anyway.
Sawyer Robertson?
Yeah.
That's it.
Sawyer Robertson.
Sawyer Robertson.
Great article that ESPN had. They don't have many, but this was a good one. So anyway, the idea that you're going to just continually, I brought that up because Mike Leach popped in my head because we talk about being a genius, and Mike Leach didn't do that much. What Mike Leach was so good at was teaching his system, and he was great at relating to his players. That article kind of talks about it a little bit. He's a weirdo, but he's great at, and it talks about Aranda being kind of the same way. And that the stuff that interests me about coaching at this point is not, I still have fun. Like, God, do I want to run double wing? It just seems fun. Like, my favorite thing was being the offensive coordinator was I would always run the scout team. And when we played a double wing team, I had so much fun. But I got it kind of out of my system. Same with wing T. I love wing T. I would love to go run Kenny stuff. I would love to, but I don't have, I can't just go do something else because I want to. I have something that I believe in, and I'll bring it up in a minute, but can't just go run random stuff because it's fun to me. I have a responsibility to the other coaches, to the players, to the school, to, all of those things, to my coaches, to the coaches that I work with in JDFB, all of those things. So, like, all of that stuff interests me, but honestly, what, it'd be fun. I loved air raid. I loved studying air raid. So Chris Hatcher had VHS videos that I wore out studying. I've never run an air raid concept. Same thing, wing T. Denny Crean, wing T A to Z, tore it apart, made my own playbooks, all sorts of stuff. Never ran it. 46 Bear, learned everything I could about it. Never ran it. Only time we've ever run a 303 front is sucked. It's been terrible. So it's never worked for me. Guys always go, do you do that? I'm like, I can show you how to do it. Kind of. I mean, I can show you how to line up in it, but it's never worked for me. So I don't do it much. Not that it's wrong. It's just I don't do it much. All of that is fun, but you're going to find that eventually that there's just not that much out there. What is fun for me, and I never get bored of, is teaching the angle of the first step on an inside zone, and teaching the combo, and teaching the placement, the hand placement, and teaching the read, and teaching the little details, and teaching it knowing it will never, ever be perfect. And that every single rep, every single day, I will be able to look at it and I will be able to say something to that kid every single day, knowing that on defense, it is 11 people putting together this beautiful dance of spill and force and alley and stay in coverage and the umbrella coming together, regardless of what front we're in, regardless of what blitz we're in. Some blitzes, we break it. We know that, but those blitzes have their own. That's kind of the strategy part of that. But watching every little piece and how it moves from initial alignment, key read, fit, block destruct, everything, tackle, how that all comes together, and knowing that I can coach up every single little piece of that to be better, to optimize it, to strengthen it. That's fun to me. And the rest of it is just kind of smoke and mirrors. It's like, let's dress it up with this. The rest of it, that part is now it's not about, so like we talk about the motions and the, giving the ball to a different guy, showing a different look, using a motion, using a shift. That is the part that's about you, about my opponent and how I manipulate them. The thing that I have the most fun with is not attacking the opponent. I ultimately, my ultimate goal would be to line up in Pro 2, Pro 3 every single play and run the play I want to run so well. Like, to just line up in Pro 3 so well that you go, they're running power right to their left, our right, and still block it with such precision and perfection that you can't stop it. Like, that's what would be like the greatest thing in the world to me. Like that, and that's not going to happen. But you don't have to go out and do 10,000 different things. And I also enjoy doing it for the scout team. I enjoy seeing something that I like, seeing something that interests me, seeing a blitz that I saw on Saturday, and I thought that could solve a problem for us. and adapting it into our system with our language and our terminology, and taking all those little details of spill and force and alley that I've been working on, or all those little details of down block, kick out, all those little details, and taking all of that and applying it to something that maybe isn't supposed to be in my system, but applying it to that in a way, and making it a part of our system, and creating that evolution. So there's an evolution of formations. I see a formation I like. I see a motion I like. I see a shift that I like. I see a play that I like. I can look at buck sweep and go, okay, I can run that. It's just down, down, kick out, wrap to linebacker. It's the same thing. I can get in that formation. I can reuse things. Now, I'm going to go to Kenny and say, how do I make this better? But I could do it. And I could bring that into my system. And if it worked really well, it could become the foundation of my system. I don't plan on doing that, because the last time I ran buck sweep, it was awful. It was worse than bear, but worse than 46 bear was for us. So I mean, that's just when we talk about invest in a system, you have to invest in the system. There's no way around it. You're either investing time or you're investing money. Which one do you want it to be?
Yeah.
There's no way around it. You're either investing time or you're investing money. You're going to have to invest time anyway, but in general, when you invest money in a system like mine, it's been, worked over so much that it's going to
troubleshooting going on.
Everything's there.
It's got hours of stress testing, and
you don't have to go through 10,000 different YouTube videos. You don't have to go through, going through different things. And it's just like, here it is, step by step. This is where it starts. And again, most of our most successful coaches started in a basic 4-2-5, cover 1, cover 3, and they all look different. We talked about Brady Bradbury is going to be talking about his trip stuff, which is completely different.
And he's yoked, by the way. He is so excited.
Completely evolved. Like that, but it's like one piece evolved, and something else will evolve, and something else will evolve. And in 10 years, it won't look the same. Maybe it will. Maybe he's one of those guys, but probably not.
And I know we've spent this whole time saying, like, don't create stuff, don't create it from scratch. That's not to say you can't take a great foundation and become creative on top of it, right? I got to hang out with Lynn Shackelford today for our redistricting meeting. So obviously, you guys that are listeners, if you've been around for a couple of years, remember Lynn used to come on I think came on 3 or 4 times there and talk to us. And his reasoning he invented the RPO accidentally. It wasn't, he didn't steal it from somewhere else. He invented it. He had a foundational thing. He couldn't get linemen to second level. And he was like, F it. I'm just going to read that guy and put a wide receiver down there. And if that backer is going to come make a play, we're just going to throw the ball. And he inadvertently reinvented the RPO.
He wasn't the one who invented it, but he didn't learn it from somebody else. He figured it out.
He solved a problem with a thing that's legal in football, and it ended up being an RPO. Now, he didn't go buy a new RPO system. He didn't start over from scratch because he couldn't get to the second level with his back. He believed in what he was running. He had won plenty of games. He started struggling with a thing, and he solved it with another thing.
But it was just a tag on his inside zone. It wasn't a new play. It was just a tag on it was a variation of zone read, essentially, where it's like, instead of the quarterback pulling it, I'll throw it to this guy. And I think that's the last thing, because I know we wrap up. The important thing here is, guys, steal from other people. Now, the important thing is what we've talked about in the last couple of episodes on offensive playbook and different places and building your offensive playbook. And the same applies on the defensive side. Know when it's time to steal something. Don't just steal every time you see something that looks cool. Don't, because your playbook will immediately become bloated. You're like, Coach Daniel, Coach Chamberlain said to evolve the playbook. So every time I see something, I'm going to evolve the playbook. No, you're going to screw the playbook up terribly. You put things in.
There's a new Resident Evil game that came out, and you'll make one of those monsters.
Yeah. You put things in when you find a solution, a problem that you need a solution for, when you run into the thing that you need an answer for. When I started running the 3-4, we were struggling, and we had 2 games coming up against zone read option teams where our defensive end was not physically athletic enough to tackle their quarterback. He had no chance. And so the 3-4 was simply us taking one of our undersized outside linebackers, taking our less athletic defensive end. I can't remember if we took him off the field or moved him somewhere. And one of the defensive line positions, probably put him in a defensive line rotation with the other 3. And we put that little guy down there and said, you line up on the same side of the back, because they were both zone read, traditional zone read. You line up on the same side of the back because you have a chance of tackling that guy. And
voila.
Boom. We beat one team with it because he could tackle that kid in space, and the other team ran power read. And
new problem.
Oh God.
Well, we got him to page 2. So, yeah, exactly. Now we have another problem that we got to solve. So that kid, I don't think it would have mattered. That team was really good, but we at least got him to page 2 of the playbook. So yeah, I mean, when you put things in, but then it became our 3-4 system, and the next year it was 50% of our snaps, and we had a better season. I mean, that's the evolution.
Yeah. All right, man. I think we checked all the boxes. The basis of the night. Still don't create, guys. All right. Start with a proven system. Find the right system that fits your team this year. Evolve that system to become your own, so then you make sure that it fits every team from now on. If something here helped you today, even just one idea, please do pass along to another coach who's putting in the same work you are. Talk about, let's reduce that grind for everybody. Last week, we talked about how to call offensive plays in football. Next week, it's on to using container principles, which is going to be a good one. Let's talk some level up, Joe.
Let's do it.
I heard that you've been talking to AI.
I have the best prompt that I've ever put into ChatGPT, and I wanted to share it here.
I'm putting it in when you say it, so let's do this.
So if you've ever done some Googling and searching on YouTube, you've probably run across Dan Martell. He wrote Buy Back Your Time, which is an excellent book. The Dan Martell YouTube channel is Dan Martell, Martell. And one of his videos came out relatively recently, I think. I was looking for when it came out, but it's not an old video, I don't think. I've got the comments open because I was looking for. Anyway, the prompt is this, and it was just fascinating what came out of it. So the video that it's from is called 9 AI Skills You Must Have to Get Ahead of 99% of the People. Dan Martell's videos are excellent. His prompts his titles are so like clickbaity. Like you you have to do it on YouTube or you get buried, right? If you want anybody to see it, you have to do this stuff. People go, oh, the stupid thumbnails and the title, the clickbaity title. If you want anybody to see it, you have to do it. If you think you got good stuff, you have to do this stuff. Talk to YouTube. So this was the 6th AI skill I want to say, and it's basically the skill was about getting ChatGPT to critique you, because we all know what. And I have not done everything with this. I'm going to go through and do everything in this video. This is excellent, or most of it. I've done some of it. We all know the biggest problem with ChatGPT is ChatGPT tells you no matter what you say, ChatGPT says, oh my God, that's an amazing idea. This is so good. You are going to be so rich and famous and popular and pretty. You should definitely do this. You should definitely do this. And it doesn't matter what you said. So I haven't gone through all of the stuff with it, but it was one prompt that he said to put in there. And I assume this will only work if you're somebody like me or Daniel who spends a lot of time talking to ChatGPT.
A lot of time. My wife thinks it's weird. I don't care.
Doesn't matter to me. The prompt is this. And again, you can go watch the video. It's about 12:50. That's at 12:58 into the video. It's only a 20-minute video. Tell me about the things that I need to know about my psychology that's been holding me back that I've never asked you. Awesome. first time ChatGPT was just like honest with me. And I'm not going to talk about what it said because it's kind of businessy based, because a lot of things I talk about are business based with it. But awesome. I mean, it just like stuck in my brain. The response was just like, not like I never knew that, I don't think, but it was just like, oh, yeah.
All right, say it again.
Tell me about the things that I need to know about my psychology that's been holding me back that I've never asked you.
Okay.
And it spits out like it's like it felt like ChatGPT had been sitting there answering questions for me and being nice and everything. And then it was just like this moment where ChatGPT just unloads on you. Like, bro.
Oh man, number one, your brain's built for strategy, not maintenance. Guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but I am the worst at cleaning, picking up, maintaining. No, let's just do stuff. I'm a doer. Oh, I have to read this. Okay, I
Yeah.
got to read that on my own.
It's yeah. So I actually and let me give you one other thing that I have ChatGPT doing now. And I did this with a couple different topics. So I did this with the straight T last week, and then I also did one. I did one on Eat the Captain. And so just like find something that you want to know about. I don't have the exact prompt for this, but find something you want to know about, and you're just like, so like for straight T, dead T, I was like, you know, this is what I do. You're a football coaching expert. You have the role. This is what I do. I run a business. It knows all this stuff already, but and tell me about the history. Tell me about the strategy. Tell me about the purpose. Tell me how it evolved of the straight T formation. And it goes through, and I said, and tell it to me in a story form. I have 15 minutes, and then it writes out a 15-minute story of the straight T offense and the thought and the strategy and the evolution and everything. And then I clicked the button to read it and got in my car and spent 15 minutes just catching up on the history and evolution, everything of the straight T. The same thing for Eat the Captain last week. I'll probably just do a couple things here and there as they come up of like, okay, just like tell me where this came from, what it is, why it's there, how it's going, like all that sort of stuff. Another really cool AI usage. So yeah.
That's pretty neat. My level up is less ChatGPT, kinda. I did find myself using it a lot to develop. Obviously, we just took over as head coach last week, and I did use it like to critique my products, right? So the systems that I'm going to use to be a head coach, and it's exponentially grown the potential here. So I took a lot of neat ideas from you and from Kenny and from Bill and from all these guys, like to make football fun outside of the season. And like, it's been really, really neat to see the community kind of already jumping, like chomping at the bit to get to these things. Our version of the Night of Champions, which is just going to be a huge community night. It's kind of combining what Kenny does and what Bixby does down there for their big Night of Champions. And Moms 101 coaching, where I told the moms, you're wearing helmets and shoulder pads and you're going to have a scrimmage. Like the kids are going to coach you and you're going to play in a scrimmage and you're going to learn our offense and defense. And I thought that a bunch of people were like, nah, no, I'm not doing that. No, they were like, yeah, let's go. Anyway, it kind of gets me to my real level up is we're in that alignment phase where it's been really cool to see everyone jumping on board, whether it's coaches, administration. And I understand, guys, like another neat thing is like there's a lot of people, Joe, that follow along with us. Like, we have these people that listen all the time. And I've gotten so many messages about, dude, congratulations. I'm excited to follow along. We constantly want to kind of be behind the curtain of a first-year head coach. And here are, one of our favorite podcasters is now a first-year head coach, like going through it live. So, I kind of intend to do that somewhat in some of my level ups, the good stuff, the bad stuff, whatever, because I'm going to stumble. I have a really good plan right now. And like we talked earlier, it's the Mike Tyson thing is coming. Someone's going to hit me in the face. I'm like, crap. But,
Yep.
We're kind of rolling. So I kind of hope to help give that to our listeners just as I stumble through this, and maybe people can learn lessons too. But anyway, the alignment phase has been a lot of fun, whether it's, and people like you and Kenny and Bill have, and Chris Cole and God, all the guys, Bo, y'all have prepared me for a bunch of this stuff, just like today, like going to a district meeting and walking out with a balanced schedule versus, which you may think, Coach, that sounds pretty easy. No, there was people there. There were people there trying to poach that one game to flip me to 6-4, or, and I'm talking home and away, guys, if y'all don't, trying to get the schedule right. Or God forbid if if you don't have the internal fortitude to stand up for yourself and you walk out of there with a 7-3 or something ridiculous, like it can happen. So I feel very well prepared. Anyway, the alignment phase has been awesome. I'm having a lot of fun working with, I've been working with vendors and stuff in the area, getting meals sponsored, and like the kids are gonna eat. I got the steak sponsored for my beef eaters, the O-line, baby, top 6, get a steak every Thursday. So it's just been really neat, like getting to kind of put all this theory that we've talked about over the last 6 years, watching it come into action has been really, really neat. So my level up is just, it is kind of eye-opening to see for all those, I'm going to say assholes because that's who they are, that say internet football don't work. Like, guys, it's working. Everything we've pitched, we'll see if X's and O's. We'll get there. I've watched it work anyways, but all the fun, the building, culture building and team building and getting a staff and how to get your first 90 days, all that, it's all working. So it's been really, really neat. But that's kind of my level up is, and I'm sure a lot of mine over the next year are probably going to be about this first time job. So I'll try not to every time, but man, I'm having a freaking blast. It's so fun. So we'll take that first loss. I'll be crying in my Canada Dry, but we'll go from there. All right, guys, that's it. What sales are opening and closing as we get close to this Boston 425?
Yeah, we will have like I said, we'll be in Boston Friday and Saturday after this clinic, or this comes out on Thursday afternoon, and then Friday and Saturday we are in Boston. I believe the plan is Sunday, the 15th. We're going to open up it's only the plan because it has to happen and it's almost done. I have completely rewritten the 425 defense, Coaching Football's 425 defense ebook. That book I first wrote in 2011. It was the reason that I left teaching because it did so well. But it's just gotten outdated. And in fact, it's amazing how outdated it was compared to the 335 ebook, which I wrote in 2013. And so when I went to look at the 335 to see, like, okay, even though we call it 33 stack defensive system, I should probably change the name, but 335 defense. When I went to look at that one, I looked at it and I literally changed basically an alignment. I changed the alignment for the overhang safeties, and it was done. That was it. But the 425 it is a complete overhaul. It is a brand new book, second edition. It will be, I think, ready to go Sunday the 15th. We'll have a special unveiling for that. And I'm excited about it. I'm just adding some of the last diagrams to it. It's written, and then we'll send it off to get formatted and everything. And that's it. It's going to be awesome.
I love it. Awesome, man. All right. Social media, I'm at Coach Chambo OK on X. You can email me at chamberlainfootballconsulting@gmail.com. I do have the website. The Patreon's still going for now. I highly expect it to shut down this summer as head coaching takes over. If you want to get developed as a coach at this point, move to Miami, Oklahoma, and join my staff. Like I'm gonna pick up all of a sudden about 12 clients. So I've got a lot to do. The YouTube will probably get a lot more love as we get some more stuff, more of that first year head coach stuff on there. Where are you at, Joe?
I am primarily JoeDanielFootball.com and Joe at JoeDanielFootball.com for email if you need me. X football info at JoeDanielFootball on Instagram. YouTube is the big one. If you want to watch the podcast, go to JoeDanielFootball.com/YouTube or just search for Joe Daniel Football on YouTube, and the Football Coaching Podcast is on there every week. So beautiful faces. The podcast comes out on YouTube on Tuesdays following. So it comes out on Thursday, audio. The video comes out on Tuesdays. It's one of those things we could probably change now. It was one of those scheduled because video used to take longer to process, but I don't know.
If this is your first time listening to the future podcast, the football coaching podcast,
Future
be
podcast.
sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. You can find us on your favorite podcatcher, especially Spotify and Apple Podcast. If you've been listening for a while, please do leave us a review, especially on those two. But honestly, wherever you're listening, review us up. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Football Coaching Podcast. And remember, coach simple, play fast, win.